Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Maria Martinez. Welcome to Happy, Healthy, and Successful. This is the summit in which we've invited teachers, way showers, light workers, healers, personal development experts from around the world to share their expertise, their tools, their processes with you to inspire you to connect with and take action in what is next for you. And today we have Tanja James. Tanja, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Hi, Maria. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Share a little bit about yourself, your journey. How did you get here? Anything that you would feel would be relevant to today's summit about sharing, inspiring, and moving forward with happiness, with joy, and into success.
Awesome. So I have been in the healing arts pretty much my whole life. I started doing Reiki on little old ladies I delivered papers to when I was 12, not having any idea what I was doing. I was dreaming I'm a dream walker. So I was experiencing past lives and time walking when I was a child, had no idea what was going on. Very 3D family, linear family. And something told me, don't share with them what's going on in the dream time or how you can, sense energies and you can tell this and you can tell that. And years later, and I'm a massage therapist. I did that in my early 20s, ended up getting certified in Reiki and other healing energy modalities during that time. And in my, I want to say early 30s, I was back home visiting and I was walking into a restaurant and this gentleman stopped me and he's like, are you Chuck's daughter? And I didn't recognize him. I'm like, yeah. And he says, oh my gosh, when I would go over to your parents' house and when you were maybe 8 or 9 years old, you came up to me and spoke a message into my soul that has stayed with me my entire life. You changed my life. I'll never forget you. And I'm just so happy that I ran into you to tell you thank you. And I hope you're using your gift. And at that time, I was in a hiatus. I had just finished a master's in coaching program and had gone through or was going through a divorce and was kind of in this in-between place. And every single, hair on my body stood on end. And I just heard this voice saying, it's time. Mm-hmm. And maybe I want to say about a year after that, the light language came on during a healing session. And I started, not understanding what was coming out and trance channeling. And I kind of sat on everything for a couple of years and received a lot of support for inner child work and different things. And then in 2018, I just went for it and said, nope, I'm out here, I'm doing this. And in the last 5 to 6 years have served, thousands of people in over 30 countries. So it's just amazing how when we step on to the path, it just kind of naturally unfolds before us, following those breadcrumbs of consciousness. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, it sounds really beautiful how, here you are now sharing your gifts with everybody and also supporting others to step into their own gifts and to live into that freedom, that joy, and that sovereignty. So let's talk a little bit about that, how you help others unplug from the old system, living into their full potential, freedom and abundance and sovereignty.
Absolutely. So I am kind of a semi-trance channel. So when I go into the sacred space, the sacred healing space, I come in very blank and grid the space for what is in the client's ultimate highest and best good to receive. Release what is no longer serving in terms of that old programming, 3 and 4D matrices, what's not working, and stepping into the highest timelines available at this time. So how that looks depends. It's inner child work, plasma DNA activations, it's past life clearing, total timeline cleanses. The guides just very much come in and say, okay, this needs to move, that needs to move, this goes over here, that goes over there. It's pretty awesome. Human me sits kind of on the sidelines. Yes, I'm facilitating and transmitting, but like, wow, they just said that. And oh my gosh, that just moved. And it's just such a magical time of, watching the energy move, shift. I like to akin it to being this walking portal and just being able to open up doors and what's meant to flow through and what people are meant to step into. And you're right, we are all gifted. It's at varying levels and degrees. And in modern society, that knowingness that we're energy first, receivers and transmitters and antenna, that's not commonly talked about in every day. So I love that I get to, dance in this world of energetics and help people along the way. It's just such a gift. I witness miracles every day.
I can relate to you. I also feel like when I work with clients, I step into that observation, because I become that channel for whatever wants to come through at the moment, and whatever comes through is always perfect for them. And it is, every time I'm amazed. I remember when I first started, I would tell myself I could never make that up, because it was something that I never heard before, seen before, or I could have in my imagination made up. So, not that I needed proof, but it was amazing to see what will come through. That was completely out of my imagination and possibility. Now it's possible. Miracles happening. Beautiful. I love that. I love being that channel. What was your pivot point? What was your biggest lesson learning? What was the decision? I know I have multiple questions all at once. What was that decision that you made that got you to this point?
Well, it was kind of that moment of, somebody coming, total random stranger. You changed my life. What are you doing with your gift? And I, and just, yeah, right. And not that long afterwards, I had another conversation with a healer up in Canada who reached out to me out of nowhere and said, we need to talk. And we get on the phone and she goes, you're an original key holder. Why aren't you out there in the world? And I just said, what are you talking about? What's an original key holder? And she goes, well, ask Archangel Michael. And I said, how do I do that? This is like 2017. I want to say, I'm like, how do I do that? And she goes, well, just ask right now while we're on the phone. And I kind of tuned in, and all of a sudden, all this information started flowing through me. And she goes, there you go. You'll thank me later. Talk to you later. And we hung up. I mean, it was literally a 10-minute phone call that changed my life. So that's one story. Further down the path, another one that's coming forward was one right at the beginning of my first divorce. It was a very contrasting time. I had just graduated from the coaching institute and really was in this in-between place. I was taking my daughters to a Reiki session. I have twin girls. They were maybe 4 at the time. 3 or 4 at the time. And so they go in with a therapist to have their session. And she was cross-training with an NLP therapist from another part of the state who happened to be there. And he looked at me and he's like, you could use a session. Would you like a session? And I'm like, I guess. And I walked in that room one person and walked out a completely different person. We took all of this childhood trauma stuff that was really sitting on me heavy through the divorce. Like my inner child was just screaming, with what was going on in adult Tanya's life. And we just put all that inner child stuff on a tree across the street. And I literally walked out of that room and I could see colors like I'd never seen before. And I could breathe deeper than I had ever breathed before. And it taught me that you can have radical quantum shifting in a very short amount of time. And because I had just finished a coaching program, I'm like, hey, wait, how can I bring these two things together? And it was several years after that those two conversations happened. And it's funny how, we get little nuggets and then it kind of feels like there's stagnation for a little while, like nothing's moving, nothing's moving. And then all of a sudden, like boom, 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 a couple of pieces moved and off to the races we go. Really. So those are kind of two stories that come to mind right away.
Wonderful. When you were sharing your story, so, I'm sure the audience can think of times where they felt stuck. And, hoping that there was the answer or even finding the answer and making that shift. And I think we unconsciously make that choice. And then we consciously make that choice of either stepping into who we are, aligning with who we are, or just letting go and healing those parts of ourselves. And that propels us on this journey. Like you said, something shifted and then something, it accelerated your path forward. So I just want to kind of point that out to everybody, because sometimes we feel like we're doing it and doing it and doing the work, and nothing happens.
Yeah.
And then we get to that point. And what that really is about, I mean, that's for different reasons, but for a couple of reasons, is that we needed to go through that part of ourselves, to see that part of ourselves, heal that part of ourselves, embrace, bring that into wholeness, reintegrate that part of ourselves that was still in that loop or in that cycle that was waiting for us, so that we can finally feel to a level of completeness to be able to move forward. And secondly is divine timing, right? Divine timing. Third is being able to hold that vibration of what we want next. So if we do a lot of work, but we're still in the past, then we're still not holding that vibration. If we're doing a lot of work, but we're still living in regret, judgment, we're still not holding that vibration. So all of these things, they get aligned. Those are the pieces that kind of move together. And then, everything just happens without you really needing to do any more.
It's that foundation, right? So the foundation gets laid at different times. So that healing session was 13 years ago. And I'll visit that me occasionally, like, we're good, we're doing this, right? And and I think it's always been amazing to have the concept of non-time my whole life, because that really helped me to, in those tough places, be able to visualize that future self, tune into the frequency of me today, and me today being able to tune into the frequency of me in 10 years, and just, feeling that it's just always expanding, always expanding, always expanding. But, 13 years ago, if somebody would have told me that I would be where I am right now, I wouldn't have believed it. Like, no way. Like, how is that going to happen? And yet, as we follow those soul nudges, it leads us where we're meant to go. And I loved the point you made around, if you're still in those regrets and that judgment, you're still holding that vibration of the past. And that's really, I think last year, ending the 12-12 cycle that opened, the 12-year cycle that opened in 2012, that, all of the past kind of came up last year to say, okay, are you done? Or are you going to step into this year of 8 this year free from all of that baggage of the past?
Yeah, those were pivotal times for me as well during that time of letting go, of having to look at it, bringing in compassion and kindness, and really embracing to heal, and being compassionate toward myself to heal those parts, and then being able to move forward. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I want to go back to the journey that we're. So, like, I don't really like to say the journey, because that term is usually used and people can relate to that. But I feel like we're always in the now moment, or we can be in the now moment of creation, but we're still looking at ourselves, the many facets of ourselves that are in different stages, stuck in different stages in trauma. So we have that aspect of ourselves, but then we also have the collective, right? The collective in our ancestors. And we have all these other things that are kind of plugged into our field. What are some of the practices, or what are some of the ways that you help people move into their sovereignty, move into their alignment, move into that freedom?
Well, it is about accessing now vibration,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like where you're not, I mean, when we're balanced, calm, at peace, and in flow, we're in the now,
Mm-hmm.
right? And stress, worry is usually about what's going to happen. And then that kind of heaviness a lot of times is the past.
Mm-hmm.
So I and myself and my guides and team are really good at being able to find those points of creation on where things got hooked into the past and we have a blind spot, or we're holding on. Us as humans, we're so good at
Mm-hmm.
holding on to things without realizing that we're holding on. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why we can say, okay, I release this thing, I let this thing go, and it's still there. And it's the finding that subconscious, unconscious part that's resistant to really let it go. So sometimes these points of creation are eons ago,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll kind of show me a past life flash. This is what was going on. Sometimes we want to, look at something around that, but I really like to just jump in, grab the gold and jump out, because again, it's in the past. It's done. It's over. It's complete. A lot of times those past life threads also have a point of creation in this lifetime. So we look at both. We look at the past life aspect and we look at the current life aspect. Sometimes it's a bankruptcy or a divorce or something in inner child where that recurring pattern, what I'll call a healing crisis loop, got reactivated in this lifetime. And so then it's just like, yes, I am willing, ready, and able to change. I am willing, ready, and able to let this go. And then just seeing all the bodies unhooking from that thing and making sure that there's not anything left over in the DNA, or which brings in the family line of, are there unhealed ancestors that we can invite into the light? Or guess what, it's not mine to carry the unhealed ancestors. They have free will too. If they don't want to receive support, it's not my job to carry them with me. I ask my healed ancestors to come in, help my unhealed ancestors when they're ready, knowing that just by me doing me, I'm helping them, but I don't need to carry them with me with this old coding in my DNA that's no longer serving my highest good. So once things get really nice and cleared in these different timeline cleanses, however they show up, then we're looking at, okay, what aligned action, who do I need to embody within me to step into this highest life path or journey, in a linear time sense, that I'm here, this soul mission that I came here to participate in. And we all have one. And we're always on it, whether we realize it or not.
Right.
And, it's really about helping people seeing how life has happened for them instead of to them, and disconnecting from the kind of the problem-based paradigms and into the possibility-based paradigms, which is very much what this year's theme collectively is all about too.
Yeah. So you talked about what is ours and what is theirs, and really healing those parts. So moving into 2024, it's about possibility and abundance and prosperity, and really it's about creation. So what can you share with our audience about unhooking from the collective? Or collective shadows, and moving into a higher vibration so they can hold a higher level of consciousness?
Yeah, it's very much merging the human will and personality and all of the things that have led us up until this moment of now with our divinity, and allowing that kind of super consciousness, that divine aspect of us, to really take our hand and lead us. Like, I'm done with the way it was, universe. I'm done with, this thing and this thing and this thing. Show me the way into my wholeness. And as we keep intending and asking and choosing, right? We have tons of choice points every single day that we make, little choices, big choices. Is this leading me toward my wholeness?
Mhm.
or away from my wholeness. So there's mindset pieces here, but again, it's that subconscious conditioning to
Mhm.
be able to, challenge the old program and make those conscious choices that are leading you toward that inner freedom and sovereignty and wholeness. Right. So
Mhm.
it's so, and not, and then embracing the humanness. If
Mhm.
you do make, a choice, oh, that probably wasn't toward my wholeness. That was part of the old, being, dropping the self-judgment. So I think that sensitives, empaths, and those in that really feel the global empaths, it's easy to be really hard on ourselves. And so as we merge our human will with our divinity, we'll naturally have these amazing shields up that prevent us from, taking on what isn't ours, which is the collective shadow. If you're listening to this call, if you're in either of our communities, you're a multi-dimensional being here
Mhm.
building a new grid of new earth consciousness. So just by us being this higher vibration, we're
Mhm.
creating a new paradigm and really knowing that. And guess what? I don't have to participate in the 3D shenanigans. I don't have to let it. I can send compassion and love and healing.
Right.
And which I do. I do, global work all the time, and I'm led and guided to different sacred sites. And, it very much just knowing I'm doing my part, but
Mhm.
I don't need to feel all
Mhm.
of that heaviness because I'm not going to be able to take aligned action in my, highest path if I'm stuck in the soup of the collective shadow, which we're currently watching purge out in big
Right.
ways.
Right. And if we do, when we take it on, we get lost in it because we're in the heaviness of it. And then we're not really serving our purpose. We're not being the light that we came here to be. And we're not living our life either because
Yeah.
now we're living what is being projected, what is being created by the collective. Beautiful. Beautiful. So I love what you share about aligning. And sometimes for many of us, that requires practice, right? Having a practice to be able to be in that place of alignment, especially if you have a hectic life or especially if there's a lot going on, or if there's a lot of noise in the background with whatever's going on. So a practice is important because it creates new habits, then
Mm-hmm.
it creates a new behavior, then it creates a new beingness. What are some of the practices or maybe a practice that you can share with the audience that they can start doing today?
Stillness.
Mhm.
Just tuning out the noise and coming into, even if, like in the morning, even if I have a busy morning and I only have, a short amount of time before I have to get my daughter to school or do this or do that, I just, place my hand on my heart, come into this here and now moment, feel and practice a little gratitude
Mhm.
for life, for my breath, for my heart. Thank you, heart, for beating every single second of every day. I ask my higher self to clear anything and everything that's no longer serving out of my field. Anyone that doesn't belong to my sovereign energy must leave now. Mm. And my shields are up for the day. And Archangel Michael and Metatron are great at shielding. So I have like multi-layer shield. And it's like everything that's for me easily filters through the shield, and anything that's not for me bounces off the shield.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm safe and protected all at all times. My shields are one with Source's shields. I am one with Earth. I'm one with my heart. I'm one with Source. Thank you for this day. And there you go. And it just takes a few minutes, but that
Mhm.
I couldn't do what I do without doing that every morning.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, and if I forget or if I miss a day, or like I'll notice at noon, I'm like, what's going on? Gosh, like this isn't working and that's working. My human design, not self theme is frustration.
Mhm.
So I'll be just like, you know, but going through this and why didn't this work? And why didn't, and I'm like, did I do my clearing this morning? Ah, and it's usually on days that I have off that I'll forget that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And as soon as I remember, I'm like, oh yeah, go do just quiet.
Mhm.
And, you know, I think everything I just spoke. Sometimes I
Mhm.
speak it out loud.
Mhm. Mhm.
And, you know, I am one with this here and now moment.
Mhm.
Thank you for
Yeah.
now. Right. And
Yeah.
it can be really simple. And just because I think sometimes really simple practices, it's like, oh, there's not enough bells and whistles and there's not enough, you know, moving parts. And, you know, we live in such a high speed, fast paced world
Mhm.
that I think it's easy to forget the gift of simple practices.
Mhm. And this practice that you just share,
Mm-hmm.
it's similar to one that I share, but the important thing about the practice is coming back to self, coming back to your alignment, coming back to the place of I am.
Mm-hmm.
Because in that stillness, you're connecting to your I am. In that stillness, you're connecting to your sovereignty. You're connecting to your authenticity. You're connecting to the light. You're connecting to the wisdom. And even if that's all you do in that moment, you're connected, you're in your body, you're present.
Yeah.
And that just amplifies everything else that you do and who you attract into your life and what you attract into your life because you're very much in your flow, you're heart centered.
Mm-hmm.
So, beautiful practice for everybody to share, coming into that place of stillness and just allowing yourself to be there and allowing yourself to receive and allowing yourself to feel nurtured, allowing yourself to feel loved and allowing yourself to feel a connection with your higher self and your divine team, everybody around you, with source, with the universe, to be one in that moment and then allow, and you can add an intention after that or whatever comes, whatever feels wonderful for you. But that is so important, that connection with self, connection with spirit is beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Tanya.
Yeah. And, you know, and I'll add different things. You know, I am one with my divinity. I'm one with my higher will, my super conscious mind. I invite the thinking mind to come down into the heart and I think here instead of up here.
Mhm,
You
mhm,
know, so there'll be different things. If I notice that there's something that feels kind of heavy in the body that morning, I'll take some extra breaths into that place. So you can, you know, kind of take as much or as little time as you need, or
mhm,
depending on what you have. And, you know, sometimes if things are more intense, last month was a pretty intense month energetically. So I kind of found myself doing some sort of clearing or releasing several times a day,
mhm,
just to come back to that place of, oh, yeah, I'm right here.
mhm, mhm,
It's all right here and I am
mhm,
safe.
mhm.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And
Beautiful.
yeah, yeah. And it can
Yeah.
feel scary expanding, right?
Mhm,
Like it's just with any, just like the breath, we contract and expand.
mhm,
And when we're asking for big expansion, it's like, okay, it can be scary facing, okay, what's going to
mhm,
contract in order for that expansion to happen? And so we'll you know, get a little like, ooh, this is scary. And it's that again, that reprogramming that no, change is safe.
wow.
You know,
Yeah.
doing things different is safe.
Mhm. Yeah, and allowing change to be good and allowing the
Yeah.
unknown to be amazing and to be filled with possibility. So
Yes.
allowing that newness to come in.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful, wonderful. Tanya, anything else that you'd like to share with our audience?
Well, I do have a free gift for everybody. It's a MP3 on dissolving separation. So this is really good for, I think it's a 20-minute guided activation with light language. It's kind of like light language chanting in this one.
Mhm,
And it's really wonderful in terms of unhooking from the past, coming into this here and now moment and saying, guess what? I get to live in my wholeness and in my sovereignty. So that link I'll share with you to share with, anyone who's interested. And then my website is Tanja with a J. So TanjaJames.com. And my Facebook is Tanja James 1234.
Beautiful, beautiful. What's a pleasure having you.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. And I look forward to hearing more about the impact that you're creating in the world. And thank you again. And thank you to the audience for listening, for being here, and for taking guided action. Lots of love. Namaste.